Shalowm family, KARADYAH here. I put up a video a few days ago asking about if anyone wanted to hear the story of my pregnancy. And I did get a few responses, so I decided that I would sit down and at least try to record the video. Now, the purpose of this video is not to have anybody in tears or to have anybody feeling sorry for me. And it's not to turn anybody against the Most High. It is more to pull you towards Him and to tell you how I coped and the understanding that I got from me losing my baby. So, first of all, I am a country girl. I'm a southern girl, and we were raised to be good women, have children, get married, take care of home. And so I always wanted to do these things ever since I was like a child. Like, I've been praying for a husband and all of that ever since elementary school, because I just wanted to be right, even though I wasn't always right. So, however, ever since I was like 16, I always wanted to have a baby. And I tried, but then once I got older, I stopped trying. Like, once I hit around 23, 24, 25, I just stopped trying because people used to call me a rooster. They would say that I was barren and I wasn't any good. So I remember one of my exes, his auntie said, a tree that can't bear fruit needs to be cut down. And she was like, she ain't bearing no fruit. You should have been cut her down. And it kind of upset me a little bit. But on the flip side, it did, because I knew that I wasn't barren. I felt like I couldn't have children at one point. Even whenever I got older, like closer to my 30s, I thought that I couldn't have children. But the Most High had something in store for me. So what happened was, my mom and my grandma used to always tell me, and they still do, that they prayed over me whenever I was a baby, that no matter what, I wouldn't get pregnant by any man if he was not my husband, and if he was not going to always be there for me and with me no matter what, that he was not going to leave me, he wasn't going to get me pregnant and leave me with children and high and dry. So the Most High held up to His side of the bargain, and He did not let me get pregnant. I was never pregnant until I was 29 years old. And that was after I was with my husband and we decided that we were going to get married. Once he said, babe, I think that we should go ahead and get married, and we made this decision, I was pregnant. Let me see. 7 months after this union started. So I ended up getting pregnant on my birthday, which is March the 20th. And I started feeling like it was weird. Like, I never been pregnant before, but I knew the symptoms. So I was at work, and I was working at the Waffle House on third shift, and I just know that I was just run down. I was tired. I was just not feeling good, and I was just feeling sick. So it was one morning, I was about to get ready to get off, and my brother had came up to Waffle House, and I was talking to him and this girl that I used to work with, and I was like, y'all, I think I might be pregnant. And I was like, y'all think I should take a pregnancy test? So my brother pulled out the money, and he was like, go get you a test. So I went to Walgreens, which was across the street, and I got the test. And whenever I peed on the stick, y'all, it was positive instantly. I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know whether to be happy, excited. I was happy, but I didn't know what next, because my life was good, but it just wasn't in the position that I wanted it to be in for me to be having a baby. But regardless, my child was going to be loved and taken care of, because that's what kind of father and mother it has. So anyway, push came to shove. I went home and I told my husband, but first of all, I called my mama to come and pick me up. And she was like, you pregnant? She was like, stay where you at. I'm going to be there right away. So she zoomed up to Walgreens and she picked me up and took me home. And she took me to the clinic. I went to the clinic. They didn't even give me a test or nothing, y'all. See, I got to give y'all all the steps of this process so y'all can hear why I was going through so much of an emotional roller coaster and why the situation was so hard for me. She took me to the clinic and they signed me up for welfare. So I did that. And they told me, okay, you're going to have to wait until you're at least 6 to 8 weeks to go to the doctor. So they asked me when my last cycle was. And I told them, okay, I had one that went off a few days before my birthday. So bled again a few weeks later. So they were like, okay, well, we think you might have gotten pregnant on your birthday. We think you are 5 weeks. But I don't think I was 5 weeks. I think I was like 3 weeks. And I just didn't know what to say. So I said, okay, well, whenever I go to the doctor, then I'll find out. Things were good for a few weeks. At that time, whenever I found out that I was pregnant, so I went to the doctor. Whenever I got there, they asked me the same questions and they said, okay, we think you're like 5 weeks. So they gave me an ultrasound and they said, we can't find a baby and your uterus, the lining of your uterus is not as thick as it's supposed to be for you to be 5 weeks pregnant. So at that time, I was just like, okay, so what are y'all saying? Like, but they gave me a blood test and they were like, you are definitely pregnant. We know that you're pregnant. So we're going to do blood work to test your hormone levels. So they did that and it was at like a 5 something at first. And then they said, well, your numbers are low, so we think that you may be miscarrying. So at this point, I was just numb inside. I was angry and me and my husband wasn't getting along because I didn't want to talk, I didn't want to do, I didn't want to be, I just didn't want to. And he didn't know how to deal with it, and we were in a new relationship, first of all, so we were already having ups and downs. Our relationship was lovely. It's been grand and like a fairy tale from the beginning, but we have problems just like everybody else does. So things were just hard and I was sick and I was working this job where these people were treating me all kind of ways, and I went back to work and I just started bleeding like bad. I remember I threw up at work one day and then I just started bleeding. And first of all, let me back up a little bit. What made me even notice that anything was wrong was after I took the pregnancy test and I went to the clinic, I was waiting to go to the doctor and I had to go to the emergency room because I started bleeding. So I told my husband, I said, we're going to go to the emergency room just to make sure that everything is all right. And whenever I got there, they gave me a pelvic exam. Whenever the guy gave me the pelvic exam, he came back and he was like, no, whenever he was between my legs, he was like, well, I see a small amount of bleeding, and are you sure that you're pregnant? And I'm like, yeah. So he did blood work and everything, and he was like, well, you are pregnant, but we think that you're going to miscarry. So I went to the doctor maybe a week or so later, and that's whenever they told me that they thought that I was going to miscarry. So they did the blood work. It came back 5 something. Then I went back like a week later and they did more blood work and it was like 486 or something like that. Then they told me to come back in like 2 weeks and my numbers were at like 295, and they decided that they were going to give me a DNC. So a lot of this time that passed, I was just like in Never Never Land. I dealt with so much pain and there was so much bleeding that I was just freaking out. I was like, Father, why is this happening to me? Like, all these girls out here having these babies, they just whoring around and sleeping with this one and that one, and they having all these baby daddies and all of this. And I always been a relationship girl. Don't get me wrong, I ain't perfect, and I have cheated. I've done my thing, but I've done the relationship thing because I want a husband, I want children. I couldn't really get no answers. It was like the spirit wasn't telling me nothing. I was just going through this. So I ended up having a miscarriage, a full-blown miscarriage. And while I was in shambles, I had to keep it together because I worked all the way through this. I did not take off any time. So I went and they prepped me for the surgery and everything. And I just remember that the anesthesiologist, he was a cancer like my husband. And I remember whenever they came to put me under, when he was sticking me and they got ready to roll me in the room, he came to put me under. And I remember saying to him, your eyes make me feel like, you make me feel calm, like everything gonna be all right. And he was like, I'm so glad that I could do that. It was like the Most High sent him there to let me know that everything was gonna be fine and that there was a reason why this was going on. So they did the surgery, and whenever I woke up, he was there again. And I said, when you say your birthday is? And he told me, I said, oh, you're a cancer like my husband. I said, sometimes I want to kill him, but I love him so much. And I went back to sleep. So whenever I woke up, they told me, you know, we're done with your surgery and everything. You're out of recovery, and you can call your husband now so that y'all can go ahead and leave. I went in the waiting room and I waited for my husband to come back. Whenever he came back, we got up and we walked to Walmart and I got my medicine, and then we got in the cab and we went home. I was just in autopilot, y'all, because I couldn't believe what was going on and why this was happening, or I was just lost. So I cried about it. It tore me up like real bad. I was devastated for a while. Whenever I went to work, they gave me a hard time, told me that my doctor's excuses weren't valid, and they ended up firing me. Told me that they were going to give me a transfer because I took them through a legal procedure to basically sue them. And whenever I left there, they told me, thank you for your time. And all I could think about was, I lost my baby on this job. Whenever things started going wrong, I was on your job. So I found these 2 trees in Statesboro, and this is where I went to get my understanding from the Most High. I call them the elders. These 2 huge pecan trees that were around the corner from our house. And I would go there and I would talk to the Most High, and I would touch these trees, and basically not to tarnish the tree, but to release that energy off of me and to find out what was going on. And while I was there, the Most High allowed me to see the life that goes on inside of these trees, up under these trees, all of the animals and the insects and the things that go on, and that there's a reason for things. There's a process to things. It's no coincidence. And it's not necessarily always done to satisfy you or to prove a point to you. Sometimes things are just done because that's the process. So anyway, after I got over that, that little episode right there, things got a little bit better. So maybe a week or 2 later, I went back to the doctor's office, and he came to me and said, now remind you that they told me that they could not find any baby, no sign of a baby. They never told me that I was having a chemical pregnancy, but they just said they couldn't find the baby. So whenever he came in to talk to me, he said, well, don't worry, it's not that bad. Your pregnancy was only like this big, so you don't, it's not like you lost a whole baby. What is that supposed to mean? First of all, you told me that you couldn't find no sign of a pregnancy. The only thing that you could find was the fact that the blood test and the P test was telling you that I was pregnant. Other than that, you couldn't find anything else. So why are you telling me that my pregnancy was this big? How do you even know how far along I was? How do you even know what was going on? So I was just tired of it at that moment, and I just wanted it to be over. So I just left the doctor's office and I didn't think about it anymore. He was like, well, don't worry about it. Y'all will be pregnant again within 6 months. So time passed, and my husband and I packed up and we moved to Savannah. And while we were in Savannah, we came up. Like, life got a lot better for us. And right before we got ready to leave Savannah, which was in October, we stayed in Savannah for a year. So in October of 2018, we decided to move to Tennessee. But I remember thinking one day while we were doing the happy dance, and for those of you who don't know what the happy dance is, you might want to look that up. But while we were doing the happy dance, I remember looking at him and saying, it'll be something if I'm pregnant. Now, the reason why this thought came in my head is because I already felt like I was pregnant. Whenever I get pregnant, I know. Like, that's a feeling that's not really something that you can mistake for something else. You can tell pregnancy from a period. If you let it go long enough, you can distinguish. There are some people who are pregnant and they don't know they're pregnant. They have less symptoms, but that's a whole nother story. I'm saying whenever you have full-blown symptoms, you will most likely know that you're pregnant. So what I did was, if y'all haven't seen my video about my pregnancy testimony, go and watch that. But I went into the library because I was praying, Father, I want to have a baby. I was about to get ready to turn 31. No, I was about to get ready to turn 32. And I was like, I want to have a baby, Father. You know, I just needed him to let me know that I could still have children. And I went and got the book about controlling my own fertility. And whenever I got this book, it taught me how to take control of my own fertility. Y'all go and watch that video. It's my pregnancy testimony. It's going to tell you all about the book. And that was the way that I planned my pregnancy, the second one. So I read what I needed to read out of the book, the things that pertain to me and my situation. If y'all want to know how to get pregnant, how to stop getting pregnant, about your birth control, about your menstrual cycles, if you want to know when you're ovulating, if you are even ovulating, or whatever you need to know about your sexual habits, you go and read this book and it's going to help you out. It'll even tell you how to increase fertility and how to decrease fertility. So check it out. Anyway, so I planned on getting pregnant, and it took me 2 cycles. I started in August and I was pregnant in October. So whenever we moved, we left Savannah on the 23rd, I think. And by the time we got to Tennessee, I knew that I was pregnant. So I didn't go to the doctor because I didn't want them probing on me. I didn't want them not knowing what they're talking about and trying to convince me that they do. So I waited until I was about 7 weeks. And at 7 weeks, 3 days, I ended up going to get a pregnancy test, 88-cent pregnancy test from Walmart. And whenever I took the test, I was pregnant, like instantly. There was no way for me to not be pregnant. If I wasn't pregnant, then something was definitely going on with my body, and I needed to see a doctor. So I took the test and I waited like another week to go to the doctor. But the reason why I ended up going is because I started bleeding again. So I would lay down and put my feet up and just hope that it would stop. Like, I just didn't really know what to do, and I didn't want to deal with that situation all over again because it was just a lot. Like, I just kept thinking, what do I have to go is this gonna happen again? Like, what is it that I'm doing so wrong? Like, maybe it is me, even though the first doctor was like, there's nothing wrong with your tubes, there's nothing wrong with your cervix, there's nothing wrong with your uterus, you are fine, you don't even have cysts on your ovaries, there's nothing wrong. So I went to the emergency room whenever I was in Tennessee, and I went to Erlanger, and it was the nicest staff. I'd never been in the hospital with the nicest people that I met whenever I went to Erlanger. So what happened was, before I went to the hospital, I went to the bathroom because I started having pains, like period pains. And I went to the bathroom, and this big glob of, it was like a blood clot, but it had like tissue attached to it. It was white and red. It was just, it was nasty. And I felt it come out of my cervix, and I was like, oh, what is this? So I reached down in the toilet. This might be TMI, but it was my body. And I reached down in the toilet and I got it and I put it in the tissue. So me and my husband went to the emergency room. Whenever we got there, the nurse was like, I think that it's just tissue. She was like, it might just be like some remaining tissue from an old cycle, like a piece of your uterus or something like that might be coming out or something. So I was like, okay, cool. So they did my HCG test to test my hormone levels, and my hormone levels were at 9,009, I believe she said. I know it was 9,000. So for any of you who know anything about numbers during pregnancy, and y'all, look, let me say this first. Do not let the doctor tell you anything that they want to tell you about your health and about your body. Go online and look. You can literally learn how to be a doctor from the internet. You can go and see surgical procedures. You can go and learn how to read test results. You can learn how to read an ultrasound. You can learn how to look at your sonogram as they are doing your exam, and you can tell what's going on, what is what, if you go online and you look it up. And that's what I did. Everything that was going on during this process this time, I was able to follow and be ahead of, because I had done already researched what was going on. I went to the doctors at these schools that are cutting these babies out of these women, and they don't even have to do that. Some of these tube ligations, yes, you'll lose a tube, and yes, you may bleed and pass out, but you do not necessarily have to die, and your baby can be born without a problem. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Do your research, people. Learn how to read test results. Learn how to track your fertility. Learn how to track these ultrasound results. Learn what's going on the screen. Go online and look up these things. So that's what I did, and my numbers were at 9,000. So that was great for me to be 7 weeks. I was I think 7 weeks and 3 days. So the lady came in and she was like, yes, your numbers are 9,000, and that's great. And she was like, I think that everything is going to be fine. So they took me back to do the ultrasound. Abba, I need you. Please just tell me what to do. I'm back in this corner with pen and pad, so much to say. Now, whenever we did the ultrasound, we couldn't see what was on the screen, because at the hospital they don't have the screen in front of you. They only have the screen in front of the ultrasound tech. So we went back to the room because the lady was like, I can't tell you what I see. She was the only nasty one in the hospital. She was like, I can't tell you what I see. So we went and we waited. So the doctor, it was a female doctor and a male doctor. It was a Caucasian lady and a Negro man. I think he was a Negro. So she was like, well, we're sorry to inform you, but you've miscarried. We think that you had a spontaneous abortion and that everything from your uterus has been emptied out. So I was like, what are you saying? Like, how is this possible, y'all? I just broke down and I was just screaming and hollering like, I cannot deal with this. Like, what is going on? I don't understand what the problem is. I don't understand how y'all telling me that it's nothing wrong with me, but I'm steady losing these babies. Like, what is the problem? What is going on? Is it, what am I doing? Like, is it a direction that y'all can point me in? Because nobody's telling me nothing. Y'all just telling me that I'm having freaking miscarriages. So I was just broken out. And the female doctor, she cared. You know, she was about to break down and cry, so she had to leave out the room. And the dude was like, well, yeah. And he just basically was like, yeah, whatever, and walked out the room. So I went home and I just bled. It was just so much blood. It was just so much pain. My back hurt and my butt was hurting. My head was hurting. My stomach was hurting. It was just blood just all the time. I was just always bleeding. It was just terrible. And I was just, but I still felt like I was pregnant. I know that hormones have to get out of your body. So once you have a miscarriage, your body has to get rid of those hormones and then you'll go back to feeling normal. But this was not like this. I never stopped feeling pregnant from the time that this tissue came out of me. So I went 6 more weeks, and by the time that I was supposed to be 13 weeks and 2 days, I couldn't deal with the pain anymore, because by this time my uterus and my cervix was hurting. Like, it was real bad. It was the worst pain I ever felt in my life. And I told the Most High that I wasn't going to the doctor. I went online to YouTube and I came across this couple who had a tubal pregnancy, and the doctors did not want to see this woman anymore because she refused to get surgery. She put her faith in Yahweh Shai. She said that my Messiah would take care of me, and she didn't go to the doctors to let them do no surgery on her. They had prepped her for surgery. They had done cut this woman open and everything, y'all, done snuck and put this woman on the list for scheduling for surgery. And the people went in, and instead of them cutting the baby out, they cut off the cyst or the fibroids that she had on her ovaries. And the doctor was like, what did you do? You were supposed to, she wasn't supposed to lose her baby, because that was not in the Father's plan for her. So the second time she went back to the doctor, they kept on urging her to get the surgery, You're going to die, you're going to die. So she didn't get the surgery, and they tried to prep her again, and she was like, no, because my husband woke up this morning and told me that the Messiah said that my baby is not going to die, that we're going to have a beautiful baby boy. So I took her faith in account, and how the Father brought her through that, and she finally found a doctor that would take her, and she delivered a baby boy. Her baby was inside of her ovary. That's where her baby grew at. So she lost the ovary, but she has a healthy baby. She's still alive, walking around with no problem. So I said, I'm not going to let these people cut on me. I'm not going to let them do anything to me. So I searched for a doctor that would take me, being that I have TennCare, which is Medicaid. Everybody wouldn't take me. So I was calling around Tennessee. I was just calling around the city that I was in, and I was steady trying to figure out, like, I need a doctor because I'm in pain, and it's like every time I go to the bathroom, I'm bleeding worse. The only time that it would get better was whenever I drank ginger turmeric tea. And at the time, I didn't know how much it helped out with inflammation until I went and researched it. So what I was doing was, whatever was causing me to bleed and causing me to have the pain, the ginger and turmeric tea was making the inflammation go down, and it was making the pain get better. So I found a doctor's office. It is called Women's Innovative Care, and it's in Chattanooga. Whenever I saw the lady who was the head doctor there, I saw her on the internet, and I was like, this is where I want to go. I looked at the reviews, and I looked at how the inside of their doctor's office looked, and it looked like complete zen. Like it looked like if I was to go there, then I would gain some kind of shalom just from sitting in the lobby. So I called, and the Most High opened up a door for them to take me, and she was an Israelite woman from Judah. So that made me even happier. So anyway, I went there, and they said, okay, we're going to give you another test. I told them the story. I said, the doctors at the emergency room said that I'm not pregnant anymore. They can't find any baby, and they don't know what happened. They just think that I had a spontaneous abortion. And I gave her the papers and everything for her to be able to see what was going on. So she said, okay, well, we're going to retest you. We're going to give you blood work, and we're going to give you another urine test, and we'll also give you an ultrasound. So that's what they did. So whenever I went in to get my ultrasound done, this is where things got funny. Okay. The ultrasound tech is probing me. First they did a vaginal ultrasound. Now, while she's doing the ultrasound, I'm looking at the screen in front of me, and she has a screen behind me. So for those of you who don't know, whenever you look at an ultrasound and you see the blue and the red motion at the top, that's the blood flow in your uterus. So I think the blue is the blood flowing away from the probe, and the red is the blood flowing towards the probe. So yeah, this was the vaginal ultrasound. So she went to looking around and measuring, and I'm laying on the table in the most uncomfortable position with this thing stuck up in my candy. And I'm like, okay, what's going on this screen? So I see whenever she goes to measure my fallopian tubes, and whenever she goes to measure my ovaries. And I noticed that my left ovary was 3 centimeters smaller than my right ovary. And I noticed because I saw her label it on the screen. So I was like, what is that? Like, what's going on with that? So she didn't tell me anything, but she went and she turned the probe to the right side and pushed it up towards my tube, and she hit the button, and I heard boom, 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 and then she turned it right off. And whenever she did it, she hit it like, so she was like, and where'd you say you went and they told you that you lost a baby? And I said, I went to Erlanger Hospital, and they told me that they couldn't find anything. And she was like, okay, she took some pictures, little ultrasound pictures, and she said, I'm gonna let you stay right here because they might want to examine you again. She was like, let me go. She said, let me go and get the doctor and let them see. Just stay right there. So I was like, what the world is going on? So the doctor that I saw on the internet actually came in this time. Her and the nurse that had been dealing with me. And the nurse was a woman of Judah also. So the ultrasound tech, she left out. And the doctor and the nurse came in to sit down and talk to me, and they asked me the same questions. What happened whenever you went to the hospital? And I told them, they told me that I had a spontaneous abortion. Like, what's going on? What is the problem? Why am I having all this pain? And like, something is not right. Like, what does she see on the screen? Like, can y'all please tell me something? What is the problem? What's happening? So they were like, okay, we're gonna do blood work on you, and then after we do this blood work, we're gonna find out what's going on. So I went home, and they called me, and they said, well, the reason why you're having so much pain and so much bleeding is because you have a really bad bladder infection. But they gave me urinary tract infection medicine. So anyway, I was like, okay. So once I started taking the medicine, the pain started going away, but the bleeding didn't stop. So they let me know a little while later, I'm not sure how long it was, that what was going on was they found my baby. She was like, you are pregnant still, but you're gonna miscarry. And I was like, I don't understand. How can you just call somebody and tell them, well, you are pregnant, but you're going to miscarry. Y'all haven't given me any kind of clarity on why I went to this hospital and these people told me that I wasn't pregnant anymore. Like, what is going on? What is the problem? Why is it that y'all telling me something different from what they told me at the emergency room? And why is it that it, like, where is the baby at? And she was like, well, we think that the baby is inside of your right tube because you have a mass inside of your right tube and we don't know what it is. So yeah, that's what they told me before this phone call. The last phone call, she said you have a mass inside of your right tube and we don't know what it is. So the next time she talked to me, she was like, well, your numbers are showing that you are still currently pregnant and we need you to come back in and do blood work to make sure that your numbers are dropping. So I was like, so what was the mass? And she was like, it's the baby. And I'm like, y'all, I would have been fine or better if they would have let me have the picture that the lady took, that the ultrasound tech took, because I never got a chance to see either one of my babies. It was just a bad situation. Like, I could tell people that I was pregnant, but I had no real proof besides a pregnancy test, and nobody was even trying to say, okay, well, we'll give you the picture that we did find or whatever. It was just like, you're gonna miscarry. So everything went downhill from there. I just crumbled. Like, my family would talk to me and stuff and say, well, baby, we sorry and we praying for you and this and that, but I was still not getting any understanding out of this situation. It was like, Father, like, why give me these children and then it just goes sour from there? Like, because I remember the first time that I got pregnant, I prayed Hannah's prayer because I was watching a video that Watchman and Deborah put up on their page, Watchman Reports, and it was prayers that moved the Most High that caused the Most High to move quickly. I think that was the name of it. If y'all want to go look that up, I recommend you go and look that up. It was prayers that caused the Most High to move. It's from Watchman Reports. You can find it on YouTube. But I prayed Hannah's prayer and I told the Most High, Father, if you give me a son, then I will give this child back to you. I will dedicate him to you. You can have him. And I found out that I was pregnant 3 days later. May the 4th. Blew my mind. So whenever it came to this second pregnancy, I was just like, maybe it's something that I'm doing wrong. Maybe it's got to be something. It's got to be some kind of punishment or something is happening, because this is the second time that I'm going through this situation. And I prayed for the Most High to give me this baby. So they told me that the baby was in my tube and that I was going to miscarry. And they told me to continue to drink the ginger and turmeric tea so that it would make the inflammation go down, make the pain stop. So that's what I did. And now I know that drinking turmeric in a medicinal use can make you lose your baby. It can trigger a period. So I don't know if that's the reason why the baby just dissolved, because y'all, I went back and I got tested. I got my blood levels tested and they went down to like 90, I believe. And then the last time that I got any test results back, that I got tested, they were down to, I think, 13 or 15. I can't really remember. I got the paperwork, but I can't remember. But however, I went from 9,000 to 13. At 13 weeks pregnant, my baby was no longer there. And what I think is that I was going to have a tubal pregnancy and I was going to go all the way through it. I was not going to let them people give me any kind of abortion, because if you go online and you look at what a tubal pregnancy, whenever they do that surgery on you, they're giving you an abortion. You can live with this baby inside of your tube. You will lose your tube and you'll bleed. You'll probably pass out. But your baby can live. They're giving you abortions that are not needed because the baby is growing outside of your uterus. But there are so many women out here who have been pregnant inside of their stomachs, where the baby is attached to the abdomen. The baby is attached to the uterus. The baby is attached to the cervix. The baby is attached to the tube, or the baby is just in there somewhere. And they didn't die. They went through with their pregnancies and their babies are fine and the women are fine. These people are giving y'all abortions because they scare you up and tell you, you're going to die, you're going to die. You don't have to necessarily die. It doesn't always work like that. Go and look it up, people, and consider not letting these people do these things to you. And that's something that I wasn't going to do. So anyway, the baby is gone. And the reason why I'm not crying about it now is because the last 2 days I've been preparing to make this video, and I want to be the person to give you a joyful report. The Father has plans for us, y'all. And a lot of women that I've talked to, like even my family members and my friends who haven't had children or are just now having them, we've all felt the same, like we're not worthy, or something is wrong with us because we don't have children and everybody else does, or like the Father is punishing us for our past. And that could be a part of it. But I also need you to know that some women are given a whole lot of children as a burden on them because they are out here sleeping with every Tom, Dick, and Harry and doing a whole lot of other things, and they're not repenting and turning away. See, whenever you repent, that's something that's done inside of your heart. And Hebrew, in the Hebraic mind form, as Hebrew people, we need to know that our language, our culture, not this American culture that we've been given, but our Hebrew culture is a culture and a language of doing, of movement, because the Most High is that kind of being. Our power is the Most High power. God means power. Elohim, he's the Most High power. Our power deals in motion, in doing. So when you repent, you have to repent with your heart and with your mind, with your soul, and you turn away from what you've been doing and you never go back and do it again. That's true repentance. Whenever you go back into doing what you've done that you just asked God or Yah to forgive you for, you're not repenting fully. You're just asking for forgiveness. Repenting, you have to do. After you ask for forgiveness, you have to put into motion the obedience. You have to put into motion the leaving this thing alone, leaving this sinful act alone. You have to put that into motion. So you need to know that some women are giving children as a burden, and they hate these kids whenever they have them. Y'all, I know so many females out here who talking about, oh, I take care of my kids and this and that. No, you do not. Your mama and your daddy have your children. And whenever you at home, you at Facebook, the house is towed down and the kids begging for your attention. Y'all, it's ridiculous how people put on a show outside. And whenever you get inside of their house, these children are not even being treated the way that those of us who want these kids, who yearn for these children, we want. Whenever we get our children, they'll have a different love and a different appreciation than the ones of these chicks who having these babies and shipping them off here and shipping them off there. And it's ridiculous because the people who don't live inside of your house don't know, but you can't fool the Most High. The Most High sees how your children have been raised and how you've been doing these kids, and the fact that no matter what, you still going out here and laying up having these babies, and you have not learned from what he put you through the first and the second time. That's number one. Sometimes it's a burden that these females are having all these babies with no husbands, with no man, low self-esteem, and their lives are just in shambles, but they look good on the outside. Number two, sometimes your life is not ready for these children to come into the world and to be with you. What we need to know is that all souls go back to the Father. All souls go back to the Creator, to the Most High Yah, to our Most High Power. All souls go back to Him, and your body goes back to the dust. So, Israel, you're gonna see your children. They have to be born back into the kingdom. If you believe in that kind of thing, I'm just telling you, heaven is coming to earth. Jerusalem, heaven is going to be here on earth. You're not going to get sucked up into the sky to go to heaven. Heaven is coming here on earth. So you're going to see your children. The Most High promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that we would get a chance to see the promised land. He's going to change us, and He's going to allow us to see the promised land. So your children will be there. So be happy that they're with their father. They're with the person who loaned you this baby. These children, be thankful that you were able to experience pregnancy. However long it was. That was the understanding that I got. I prayed to know if I could have children or not. And my life wasn't ready at the time for me to bring these babies in this world, because I would have had 2 children, and the situations that my husband and I have been going through the last few weeks haven't been perfect, because we prayed for mad crazy faith, and the Most High has been taking us through trials and tribulations, but He's been showing us that we can depend on Him if we can't depend on nobody else. He's been showing us that we gotta lean and depend on Him, because He is the provider. He is the creator. He is the beginning and the ending of every situation. That as long as we are following behind Yahweh and His examples and being what Yah told us to be, and doing what Yah told us to do, that He will take care of us. So us having 2 children with us at the time of these trials would have not been a good thing. Our children would have been without. It would have been a hard situation of having these kids with us. It would have been a hard situation on the children that they would have had to go through. And people don't have pity on you just because you have kids. Y'all, there's a lot of people in Tennessee who are living on the streets, and they got babies out there. They snatching up girls right and left. Females of Judah, Israelite women, Hebrew women are being snatched up here. It's bad. And we would have had 2 children in a situation that's less than great. And the Father didn't allow us to go through that, or our children to go through that. But He allowed us to know that we can have children. He allowed me to know that I'm not barren. I'm not a rooster. He allowed me to experience the joy of being pregnant, experience the feelings of being pregnant. And I'm thankful for that. You need to know that there are a lot of things that come into count whenever it comes to a baby coming into this world. You got to know that there are spiritual laws that can never be changed, and there are physical laws that can be manipulated. You don't know what your forefathers or your foremothers may have done to cause your child to not make it into this world. If you go and read the word, then you'll see that the Most High put a curse on us. You didn't end up in the United States just because some pale-faced people decided to come and take you. No, that was in the Father's plan. Go and read Deuteronomy. We messed up. We sinned. We turned our back on Him. We worship idols. We did pagan things like Easter and Christmas, which is worshiping Ishtar, and Christmas, worshiping the Christmas trees for Tammuz, his birthday. Go and read it in your Bible, and you'll see that the same things that we are doing today has caused us to have curses put on us. And the Father said that these curses would be trickled down to our children and our children's children, that we would be cursed. And that a lot of that has to do with it. Sometimes your baby won't make it into the world. Sometimes you got to deal with these curses that the Father has put on our forefathers, that has trickled down to us. So don't feel like you're less than a woman. Don't feel like you're a terrible person. Turn from your wicked ways and give it to the Most High. Ask the Father to give you understanding. Ask the Father to give you direction, to tell you what you need to be doing and how you need to be doing it. And whenever it's time, He will give you your children. But the one thing that I have learned out of this situation is, at the end of the day, I am a mother. I am a mother of 2. And nobody can take that away from me. Because instead of people looking at me and saying, oh, she don't have any children, I do have children. My children are with Yah. And you can't take that away from me. You can't make me feel bad like I'm less than a woman, like I can't provide my husband with children, because I went through a thing where I said, okay, well, he has a baby with someone who he's not even with, you know. The relationship fell apart. Like, she was worthy of his child, but am I worthy? Like, and I love anybody's child. You know what I'm saying? Like, but am I not worthy to be a mother? Am I less than a woman? Am I not a whole woman, as in, is my body not whole? And is it something that I was doing to make my baby go away? Like, what is it that I was doing? And I have my own battles that I fight with this situation. But at the end of the day, the Father has made me a mother. The Father has made me able to receive a child, to conceive a child, however you want to say it. And He has humbled me, and I still deal with pain, y'all. The last 2 days have been real emotional for me. I'm exhausted because I've been on an emotional roller coaster trying to deal with how I'm gonna put this story out there and let y'all know that you can still have joy. Talk to the Most High. Whenever these situations were going on, I couldn't really hear a lot from the Father. But He comforted me, and I cried out and I begged Him, please don't take my baby. But He knew what was best. He knew that what was coming up the road for me was not what a child needed to be in the middle of or going through. He knew that in order for us to reach this high pinnacle of faith that we've been praying for, we couldn't have children lagging along with us. You know, I understand what happened. I'm pretty much at peace with the situation, but I yearn to hold my babies. I yearn to see them running around the house and to do things for them that these females are not out here doing. I sometimes think, okay, I didn't get an abortion. And I know some women have gotten abortions, but this is the thing with that. If you are sorrowful, if you are apologetic, if you go to the Father and apologize to Him about doing that, then He will forgive you. He can forgive you, but it's whenever you don't have any remorse for the situation that your punishment comes. So I just wasn't one of those females. You know, I care about life, and I know that it's not our choice to bring life into this world. Whenever you get pregnant, you got to do what the Father says. I know some females out there sticking hangers up in their candy, trying to get rid of their babies, drinking bleach, drinking alcohol. Y'all, the thing that I do regret is once them doctors told me that I lost my baby the second time, I was drinking vodka straight out the bottle. I was drinking wine, and it wasn't like I was getting wasted, but I would sometimes get drunk just so that I can just go to sleep and not worry about the situation. And whenever I found out that I was 13 weeks, I was like, is it my fault? Did I cause this baby to not get to where it's supposed to get at and not develop the way it's supposed to? Did I destroy this child? Did I cause this? Did I kill my second baby? Was that my fault? But that wasn't the issue. And it gets better, y'all. It does get better, but what you need to know is that your children are in the best place that they can be. They go back to the Father. Before your soul came here, you were with Yah. He sent you here inside of a physical body. And whenever you leave here, your body goes back to the dirt and your soul comes back to Him. So your child is there. Your child is yet living. And you need to grasp onto that. Yes, you did suffer a loss, but don't be against the Father whenever it comes to this. Don't be angry with Him. Don't turn your back on Him. Don't lose your faith in Him, because He can stop you from ever getting pregnant again. So lean and depend on Him. Ask Him for understanding. I promise you He will answer you. You'll understand it as time goes by. He'll give you clarification on what happened and why. And once you start to see the situations in your life change, then you'll be able to understand, okay, He didn't give me this baby. He didn't suffer this child to go through this and to go through that because of a reason. And the third reason or possibility that I've come across that it could be, and my grandma told me this. She was like, baby, if I had a car, I would be there and I would hug you and hold you until you just couldn't cry no more. But she said, you got to understand, baby, that you could have been bringing a disabled child into this world. So I sat and I thought about that, and I thought, even with the hardships that we've been going through, we could have had our baby and things could have been fine, okay, for us and our child, because we are great parents. But the issue comes in if I would have had that baby that was stuck in my tube, and say it would have moved to my uterus and grew the right way, but it was blind or deaf or autistic or something, and we couldn't afford at the time the resources to take care of this baby, or maybe the baby would have been wheelchair bound and we couldn't take care of this child the way that we needed to, and it would have been a burden all the way around on us and the baby, or we would have had to end up putting our baby in a home to be taken care of, or just all kinds of things happen. You got to take into consideration, you could have been bringing a sick child into this world, and instead of you bringing this sick child all the way into this world to suffer more, the Father could have went ahead and took that burden up off of your hands and off of that child. So, y'all, I want you to have joy, and I want you to cry about it if you got to cry about it. But whenever you cry about it, you cry until the Father says that's enough. He gives us time to grieve. Whenever you grieve and your time of grieving is up, you got to get back to focusing on what really matters at the present moment. And that's the will of the Most High. And He'll give you your children as long as you follow in what He says. I recommend, if you want your heart's desire and you want things to go smoothly, follow Torah. The first 5 books of the Bible. Get into it and read it and do what it says. And you'll see that the Most High will start shifting in your life like never before, y'all. The things that my husband and I have been going through the last 3 or 4 weeks is something that is hard to explain, but the Father has showed out. He has opened up doors, and He has taken care of us. And through all of the worry, He's taught us not to worry. We've come to the point to where we know that at the end of the day, He's going to come through, because He does not fail. He can't fail. And He made us a promise. He made our forefather a promise that He's going to multiply us like the sand of the sea. So you will be a mother as long as the Father says that you will be a mother. You don't have to let these people do all these surgeries on you and these hysterectomies and these partial hysterectomies. If you want to have a healthy child and you want your body to be healthy, to be able to conceive, stop eating things that the Father says don't put in your body. Go and get you some avocados, which work on your uterus, and eat as much avocado as you can. Go and get you some oatmeal, get your blood pressure and your cholesterol and your insulin levels under control. Go and get you some okra, produce your natural insulin, get off of these diabetic medicines, and work on your body. Put life into your body. Get off of Facebook and off of Instagram unless you are looking up something that is useful, and find out what you need to do to get your body in shape so that you can conceive and have a healthy pregnancy. Look it up. Food is going to give you life. Water, 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 water. Drink a whole bunch of water. A whole bunch of water. And the one thing, this is the last thing that I'm going to say, as far as giving you all tips on how to get pregnant and how to help your body be healthier during this pregnancy. What the conclusion that I've come to, and the nurse at the emergency room told me this. She said, I think that what's happening is you're having a problem with the blood flow to your uterus. So she told me that a friend of hers was having blood clotting issues, and it was messing with the flow of her blood to her uterus. So she said, take a baby aspirin. She said she told her friend this also. She said, take a baby aspirin every day until you conceive. And once you conceive, go to the doctor and let them know what you've been doing, and they'll tell you what to do from there. Now, a lot of these doctors try to give you shots. Like, my auntie had to take shots in her stomach while she was pregnant because she had this issue. And my mom also had a clotting issue. So that's another factor that y'all need to take into consideration. Your genetics. My blood clots so fast, y'all. If I get a cut or a sore or something, a scab will be formed on it like ASAP. Maybe before the day is out. It's crazy. So that's part of what my problem is. My blood is not flowing and moving the right way. So I don't know how many of y'all agree with doing yoga. I'm not talking about worshiping no idols. I'm not talking about no religious statement. I'm talking about stretching out your body. A lot of these moves that they do in yoga is directed towards certain parts of your body, and it helps you to be able to do things. Chinese people, that Haya and all of that stuff, martial arts, they got that from us, from the Hebrews. So these things that Christianity has taught us we're not supposed to do, you don't worship no idols. You don't bow down to no idols. You're not sending up no praises to no sun god or nothing like that. You can do yoga and not even listen to the TV screen. You can do yoga and just get the basics of how to do your body and how to open up and how to breathe and send air to different parts of your body, send positive vibes to different parts of your body. There's nothing wrong with you doing that. You know how to not bow down and worship an idol. And a lot of these stretches that they're doing, we used to do whenever we were in the elementary school when we were kids. Stretch your body and it'll create more blood flow, better blood flow in your body. And that's what I've started to do. So some of you may need to check into the flow of your blood Find out if you have clotting issues. Find out if the women in your family have had these same issues, because that's what a part of my problem is. Genetically, I have had this issue come down through my family. So now I know how to fix that and how to work with that, how to keep these things from happening. So talk to your doctor. You may need to take a supplement that's going to increase your circulation, and do stretching, do walking, do running, stretch your pelvic area. I wouldn't recommend everybody take an aspirin every day, but I would recommend that you take a supplement, like, not even a supplement, I'm sorry, drink something like turmeric tea. And whenever you get pregnant, stop drinking it medicinally, because it's a high level of turmeric. Now, you can use turmeric, you know, Indians and Jamaicans, they consume turmeric on the regular, but they're eating it in their food. But y'all, try to find something natural that increases blood flow. And to sum this all up, I want to say, take into consideration why you're losing these babies. Talk to the father and question him on this subject, and he will give you understanding. The things that I've come across, all in all, is some women receive babies as punishment or as a disciplinary action to teach them what they're supposed to do, and they're going to continuously have these babies over and over again, and the children will not make them happy, and they won't make the child happy until they learn their lesson and they repent for the things that they've been doing. That's number one. So don't feel like you're less of a woman. Don't be like, well, why is she having these babies and this and that, and everybody in my family having babies except for me? I understand. I've been there. It's not that. It's a whole different thing. And number two, consider your genetics. Talk to your mama, your grandma, your aunties on both sides of your family, and find out if they had any kind of blood clotting situation or any kind of blood situation, period. If they had any problems with their reproductive system, because I've learned that a lot of women already have hysterectomies by the time of 40. So you need to find foods that can bring your reproductive system back to life. And number three, you could possibly be suffering from the curses that we've had put on us by the Most High. But as long as you live in Torah, you can be out from up under the effects of these curses so much, because the curses are on our people, and the Father said that no man shall save us except for the Messiah, except for him bringing us up out of this bondage, except for Abba Yah sending our Messiah to come and take us out of this situation. That's the only way that you can get over it completely. But consider looking into Torah, because you can get out of these, you can get out of the line of fire. You can be the one to break the curse and put life into your body. Make sure that you are putting life into your body. Make sure that you are not eating things that are unclean. Let me give you an example. In the story of Samson, if you read that in Judges, I'm reading it now, y'all. I forgot the chapter. I'm so sorry, but it's in Judges. Before Samson was born, whenever the Most High sent his angel to talk to his mother, he told her, do not drink any wine and don't eat anything that's of the vine. No, nothing intoxicating shall go into your body. Number two, he had to be a Nazarite, which means that no razor was going to touch his head. He couldn't get his hair cut. You notice whenever the lady cut his locks, cut his 7 locks, which he had locks like this. He was not pale skin. He didn't have curly hair. No, he had locks. That's what these are. When she cut off his 7 locks, he lost his power. Cleanliness is what blessed him. Samson was strong. He was a mighty man. He scared people with his strength. That's the reason why. They seek to take his strength away. he was clean, he was pure, because his mother didn't eat swine, his mother didn't eat shellfish, his mother did not put anything into her body that the Most High said will make you unclean. So y'all need to think about that. Try to consider doing what Yah says instead of what civilization, or what they call civilization, tells you to do. Because this world is killing us and it's killing our babies, and we don't have to go through that. With that, I'm going to say shalom. I love y'all. And I pray that I could shine some kind of light and some kind of understanding on this situation, and to let y'all know that we are in this together. We are Israel. We not fake Jews. We are the Jews. We are Israel. We are from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the Most High promised to multiply us like the sand of the sea. So you can get your blessing. Even Sarah had her baby whenever she was 90 years old. It's possible. It's not your choice when you bring these children into the world. It's up to the Most High. So know that it is possible, and that it will happen in due time. But you got to follow behind what the Father desires. And whenever you pray for these babies, pray in His will. Always pray in Yah's will. You will never stop hearing me say, everything that you say, do, think, react on has to be in the Father's will. Ask Him for His will, and He will reveal His will to you. So I'm going to say shalom. I love y'all, and thanks for coming and listening.
Pen and pad, so much to say. Should I even ask, what can I write? Or maybe sing to get close to you. All I want, all that I had, they feel not, and I am sad. I need substance now, don't let me drown.